Hey guys, it's Andrea from VW Family Farm, and today I've got a little bit of a different video for you than what we normally do, so stay tuned. Okay guys, it's Andrea here, and today I have had some requests to do some curriculum reviews. So I'm going to review kind of what we did last year with our school year, and then on a different video I'll give you a plan of kind of what we're going to be doing this year. So I told you a little bit about why we homeschool, but that was on our intro video. If you didn't watch that, you can check that out. That was our first video we put out. But let me just run through some of the main reasons why we homeschool. We have been doing it, let's see, I'm going to say I think this is our 7th year. So we've been doing it a while. Things have changed over the years of how we school. It started out, Ben and I were both public schooled all the way through. The kids went to public school, one of them for almost 5 years and one for almost 3 years. So that was pretty ingrained to us. So when we first pulled them out, school at home looked just like school at public school. We schooled, we did the same subjects, it kind of took all day, and it got to be kind of like, what are we doing? We may as well send them to school if we're just going to replicate exactly what they're doing. So over the years, we've kind of found our groove. Things I love about homeschooling are we travel. We do, if we're going to do vacations, it's usually going to be before school is officially out or after it started back. You will find you can travel so much cheaper. We've been all over the U.S. We've been out of the U.S. We've been to Mexico and a few different places, and we've went dramatically cheaper just by avoiding vacation season. Same places you would go, same service, it's just a cheaper price. So that's a big thing because we like to do what our kids call adventures, and we like to travel and do things like that. Another thing is I wanted my kids to have more of a Christian education. I wanted to have a heavier influence on what books they're reading and what they're being taught. Now, I am a believer in the Bible. I do believe in creation. That's how I believe everything came to be, is that God created it. They say that I do believe in a big bang, God said it and it existed. That's what I believe. I don't argue with people about that, and I do actually teach my kids, I do teach them about evolution and some of those other scientific beliefs, because they need to know them from me before they get out and the world teaches it to them. So although I don't believe that evolution is how we came to be, there are people that do, and so I believe they need to know about it. So we do learn about that, and we talk about what we believe. So we've given them a strong Christian education, a way to, I would say, defend their faith, but I don't mean that in a way like defend it like be sarcastic and snotty and argue with people. I mean it in a way like know what you believe and why you believe it, and why the Bible is true and why it backs it up. So that's just another personal main reason that we homeschool. Also, I like my kids. A lot of people, I know there's people that probably would rather not spend all day every day with their kids, but I felt like when I had my kids, when I had my first child, I felt like this is what you were meant to do. I just felt it in my heart. Being a mother was what I was called to, and I feel like homeschooling it's been a calling for me. Right now, there's times that we are on this farm for days on end and we don't see a lot of other people. Now, we do get out. We're very involved in our church. We're involved in a homeschool group that they don't meet every week, but we do things occasionally with them. So we see a lot of other people. We're involved in our community, just different things like that. But there are days that I don't get out, and sometimes I think I'm not really making that much of a difference. And then I think about the lives that the Lord's entrusted in me right here in my home to raise during this season of their life. And I feel like that is a pretty big calling for me. So that's another reason that I do it, is I felt led to it. I felt like the Lord was leading me to do it. It was a desire He placed in my heart from the beginning. Ben was not for it. I told you in the intro video, he thought they would be weird, and maybe we are weird now, I don't know, but I guess we're okay with that now. We've decided, who cares if we're cool and if we're like everybody else. I honestly don't really think that's the goal to strive to be, is just like everybody else. So those are my main reasons. My kids were smart when I pulled them out of school. They were near the top of their classes. So I do try to challenge them. We do books and traditional schoolwork a lot. There's a lot of people that don't, and that's a personal choice on how you choose to educate your children. I wanted mine to be prepared to go to college if that's what they choose, because I don't want the way I teach them now to limit their possibilities. If they want to go to college, I want them to be able to. But on the other hand, there's other people that push their kids really hard because college is the end all be all for them, and it's not for me. If that is not what my kids choose, if they choose to work hard and learn a skill and that's what they choose to do, there's a need for that. There will never not be a need for skilled worker jobs. So I just want to give them every opportunity based on what they want to do and what the Lord leads them to do. I want them to be prepared for that and not limited by what I do now. So let's get to the curriculum. And this may be one video, it may be a couple of videos, I don't know, depending on how long this is. So I'm going to try to tell you stuff about these curriculums that if I was looking at them, I would want to know. So that's kind of the information I'm going to give you. And I'm going to start with history. So this last year we did American history and we chose Knotgrass. Okay, now I have a big stack of books here. That is because I've always schooled my kids. They're only 17 months apart, but I've always schooled them together. I didn't at first, and then someone told me that's the best kept secret about homeschooling. If you're going to learn American history, everybody learns American history. If you're going to do some writing curriculum, everyone needs to do it. That's the best way to do it. It saves time. The kids love it. And that brings me kind of to my last fourth reason about why I homeschool. My kids are tight. They are probably, well, they'll tell you they're best friends. They spend all their time together. They have friends other than each other. They have quite a few friends actually. But if something big happens or even something not so great happens that might hurt their feelings or whatever, they are the first person each other runs to tell. You might expect that sisters would be close or brothers, but they're brother and sister, and they're about as close as you can be. They're definitely best friends, and I think that has come partially from homeschooling. Our family unit is very tight. I say our circle is small, but it's tight. So, and that's how we like it, I guess. So anyway, back to history. So we did Knotgrass. I made a mistake this year. I'm going to go ahead and admit it. We had one child in junior high, and then Lane was in high school. So I thought, she doesn't really need to jump up and do high school work, but I don't want to hold him back in junior high work because I want him to start getting credits and all that kind of stuff. So I ordered a junior high curriculum and I ordered a high school curriculum. Well, we did both for about probably 6 weeks or something, and I thought, this is crazy. What are we doing? They could be doing this together like they always have, and I've made this way more complicated. So I'm going to tell you about the junior high curriculum first, because that is kind of what we merged to. I wound up putting Lane in this also, and then kind of beefing this up for a high school course, because I didn't know that if Emily we needed to jump up into a upper level high school book for her. So, because she was only 12 at the time, just turning 13. So the things I'd want to know if I was considering buying this book: how many lessons are in it? How long is it going to take? Well, there's 150 lessons. There's meant to be one a day in this book. They're in units of 5 lessons each, and each unit will have a little project you can choose. Like some of them you can do writing assignments, there's baking, there's games, there's like meals you can plan. I think she made some art projects. There's it'll give you several options and you can choose one of those projects. There's always a quiz at the end of the unit. Neither one of my kids had any trouble with this book. And I'll be honest, it's meant to be, let me say this, it's meant to be a history curriculum and English and writing and literature, because it mentions supplemental books you can read. They read lots of good books. They read Brady, and actually here's some of them now. Bound for Oregon, that was a really good book about a girl on a wagon train. Across 5 Aprils, really, really good, about the Civil War and about a family with 2 brothers I had several brothers, but two of them were best friends before the war, and then they fought for different sides. Really, really good book. That's what I loved about this curriculum the most. It was very literature based. Blue Willow, that was good. Homer Price, and that was good. There was a couple more. I think there was a Laura Ingalls Wilder book. So this was an overall really good curriculum. And this one is just the high school level. It's the same thing. And every one of theirs comes with a supplemental reading book, which is like documents, newspaper articles. This had some excerpts from what's called the Federalist Papers, just all kinds of important documents from history. Same thing, 150 lessons divided into 5 lessons each. This is meant to give them a credit in history, Bible, and language. And by language, I mean grammar, reading, writing, all of that. So if you want a curriculum that you can just base everything around, and then all you have to add is math and science, and if you're doing any kind of electives like a foreign language or whatever, this is the curriculum for you. The only thing I want to say about it that I did not like partway through the year, and by the end I thought, okay, I just need to get it together and I think we could make that work again, is this. If you are OCD or type A or whatever you want to call it, about if a curriculum says here's some suggestions and you feel like I need to do every single one of those to check off my list, this may not be for you, because it has more in it than you can do. And by the end, our homeschool group was doing lots of cool field trips and classes and things that were educational. And this was one thing we had to let some of it go. We finished this curriculum, but I'm not going to say we read every lesson, all 150. By the end, like the last 20 lessons or so, we were kind of doing every other one. We read the majority of this, but we did not read every word. We did not do every single assignment. We did not write every paragraph, because we were doing some of those things at our co-op. Honestly, we were living life and learning by doing some things other than just this book. So if that's how you are, this may not be for you. But if you can kind of take something and say, we're going to do what we can, and you will get a lot out of this. It really is a good curriculum. I can't say enough about it. It's really well written. The kids enjoyed it. It wasn't too much work. The junior high is awesome. I don't know as much about the high school because we only did about 6 weeks, but I'll say Lane was only in 9th grade and he didn't struggle with it at all. It went really well. So, and he's a 9th grader. So he's a good reader, but I think any age high school could do the high school curriculum. And we're bumping up, let me say this, next year we're bumping up and we're going to do government and economics from this same company, Knotgrass. And it's a high school curriculum, and Emily's going to be in 8th grade and Lane will be in 10th, and I'm going to merge them both into that. I may have to take it easy on Emily a little bit, and that's okay because she's only going to be an 8th grader. But one thing I wanted to mention about the junior high part, it does come with a book of timelines. You don't have to try to put together a whole timeline if that's not your thing. It comes with maps. I thought this was really good. Both kids worked on the maps. And then it comes with just daily review questions and a few little questions from these books. I did not think anything about this curriculum was what I would call difficult. Now we've done some that I call like, wow, that's for advanced kids. That's difficult. But this was not one of them. I would give this 5 stars if I was rating it. So, and let me say they have ancient history. This is American history. For junior high, they have all the time periods of history. I know they have one called From Adam to Us. They have one called Uncle Sam and Me. That looks pretty cool, about government and things for junior high kids. Then in high school, they have American history, world history, government, and economics, which turns out those are the 4 things they need to get credits in high school if you're going to be doing your own transcript for them to graduate. So I thought that was pretty awesome. We may stick with them all the way through. I don't know yet. Okay, so that's what I had to say about the history curriculum. Like I said, this is so much more than history. You could build around this and have a complete curriculum. So, and it's pretty affordable, I would say. And one thing I read on their website, they price it the same no matter where you're ordering it from. They don't want you to have to search around going to this website to get the cheapest price on the book and this one for the cheapest price on the study guide or whatever. It's the same price on every website you will look at. That's what they said, and that's what I've seen so far. So, all right, moving on. Okay, next let's talk about math. Okay, like I told you, last year Emily was in 8th grade. Emily was in 7th grade. Lane was in 9th. So this is what they did. This is Saxon, okay? A lot of people have opinions about Saxon. We started out with a Becca. It was fine. It was pretty advanced at first, but as they got on towards closer inching towards high school, it seemed to not be as advanced anymore, and that's what I was looking for in math, because both of them were pretty good in math, and I didn't want to slow them down. Well, I've learned some things over the years. You don't have to push so hard. So actually, this is probably our last year that we're going to do Saxon. They did fine with it. They're just sick to death of it. So this is what Emily did. Lane had done the same book. It's Saxon 8-7. And if you're not familiar with how Saxon works, this is for a little bit, I don't know how to say it. If you're in 8th grade and you need more practice on 7th grade work, this is for you. Or if you're in 7th grade and you're right on track, this is for you. It's not advanced 7th graders or anything like that. It's for 7th graders that are right on track. And Emily was, and she didn't have any trouble with it. It has a section on pre-algebra in it. All of Saxon that I've seen has 120 lessons each day, and then there's 23 tests. So, and then there's also mixed in there, there's 12 investigations. Every 10 lessons, there's what they call an investigation, and that's just kind of a more relaxed day of math, a fun day to kind of do, you might cut something out and measure angles and all that. It's just a little bit more relaxed day after you've taken a test. So all of those add up to 155 lessons for a year if you do all of those. Now, investigations, we would read those and then move on the same day. We did not take a day for those because we like to make the best use of our time. We are working on this farm. We have lots of things going on with that. So we have to adjust some things for that. So we do the investigations, we just don't take a day and that's all we do that day. Okay, so every Saxon lesson has problems at the beginning, and those are for the day's new concept. We always did those. There might be 3 of those, there might be 10 of those, depending on the concept and how long it is. And then it will have 30 review lessons every day. That is a lot, okay? That's what's about to kill my kids. We had gotten to where, for a treat, I would let them do every other problem. So they'd do 15. Well, they kept doing really well on the test. So I told them, you can do that every day. We'll just make that the new rule. You'll do that every day until your tests start to suffer. So that's what we did. Their tests have not suffered yet. So that's kind of what we continued with. Because to do 30 problems, we were doing math some days for 2 hours. And we just... if you needed to do that because you were struggling, I would understand that. But mine were not, and we had other things we needed to be working on, not just math for 2 hours or longer. So, anyway, Saxon is a great curriculum. You will come out of it knowing what you need to know. Now, it's not aligned with Common Core. Let me say that right off the bat. That might be a problem for some of you. That actually was a positive for me. That I did not care a hoot about Common Core. Unless something changes, I don't know that my kids will be going back to school anyway. So I wasn't worried about that at all. I just want them to know math and know how to do things they're going to use in real life. Okay? Lane was in 9th grade. He had already done Algebra 1 in 8th grade, so he was doing geometry. This is Saxon's latest version of geometry. I was pleased with it. It has the same amount of lessons as all the other Saxon. Like I said, 155. Or if you don't take a day for the investigations, it's 143. That's just daily lessons and tests. So I would say it definitely was not for kids that are struggling. It moved pretty fast. It was, I would call it sort of advanced. I'm not going to say it was like super hard or anything, but it definitely was not easy. I will say that. He did fine with it. It's just, Saxon is just dry. And if you've done it, you know that. So that, but they will get what they need. And we are going to take a year and we're going to switch to something else. I'll tell you about that in the future. But we may be back to Saxon. I'm not going to say we're not. I have some of the books. I'm going to keep these books for now in case for Emily I need to come back to these. Because Lane is done. When Lane finishes a book, I save it for Emily. And then when Emily finishes, I sell it. But I'm not going to go ahead and sell Lane's. I'm going to keep them just in case, because we may be back to Saxon, because I do know it works. It's not what I'd call fun, but it is effective. So it's just a standard textbook. Okay, moving on. Okay, so let's talk about health. In high school, they need a semester of health. So again, I'm trying to put together a high school transcript, and that is just one of the things they needed. I did not want to make that a complicated subject or make it take very long. So like I told you, we started with Abeka everything. We ventured away from a lot of that, but I did go back and look, and Abeka has a health curriculum, and that is what we did. It's just a basic textbook, and then I bought a quiz book, and then there's an answer key for the quiz book, okay? We did this easily in one semester, and I did not even buy the parent curriculum where it tells you daily lesson plans. Most of the time, Abeka is going to be 170 lessons. That's how it's set up. It's set up a lot for like a private Christian school. So it's set up for like a school year for like a classroom full of kids that are going to go Monday through Friday, 5 days a week for a whole school year. So I did not want to get that and have it would be like 85 lessons for a semester. I thought we could do it quicker than that. There's only, let's see, there's only 8 chapters in this book, okay? This is the whole table of contents. It is not a very long book. So what I did is I just took these, and some of these little sections of reading are longer than others. I just counted up what I thought he could read in a day and just made it up. And then when we got to the end of a chapter, we took a test after we studied a little bit, and that's what we did. And he did fine with it. It covers a lot of material. It covers, let me read you some of what it covers. It has a lot about diseases and parts of the body, emergency care, like if you drive up on the scene of an accident or if someone has an emergency in your presence, the nervous system, cardio, musculoskeletal health, exercise, fitness, nutrition, drugs, drug abuse, alcohol, tobacco. It does everything that a health course would do. So I don't have a lot to say about this other than if you're just looking for a basic health curriculum, it was fine. Okay, let's move on to science. Okay, high school science. Starting in 7th grade, we start using Apologia Science. So the first one in 7th grade that they suggest doing is general science. Now let me say, if you are looking at this, or you have started this book and then you decided you hated it and it was too hard, these books get way better after this one. This is my least favorite. We've done 3. We're fixing to do number 4 in this series, and this is the worst one of all, in my opinion. So if you can struggle through this, it gets better. And it is very good for teaching them how to use a textbook, doing a high school level science. So I highly recommend these books, although this one is not my favorite. And the first chapter of this one is the worst chapter of any of the books we've done so far on science. It's about ancient scientists, which is great information, but there's a list, and the first test I think had like 20 scientists listed, all from like the beginning of history on, and what they were known for. It was a lot of information to learn, and then you had to match those up. Both of my kids are like straight A students, and both of them, when they took this curriculum, the first time they took that test, flunked. And I thought, oh no. And so we went back and we redid it all. We studied, and we retook it, and they both got a decent grade on it. And then we moved on, and come to find out they've never either one done that again on any of these tests. So if you give this a shot, even if you don't test your kids on the first chapter of this book, it gets way better. Now this book right here, General Science, it skims a lot of topics on the surface. That's what general science is. So this is not going to go super in depth to anything, but that's what 7th grade science is. That's what this book does. Okay, it's a really good book. It is. We did some of it at a co-op, and a lot of the moms said there's no way that it's 7th grade level reading, but they say it is. I don't know. Emily did pretty good, but science is not necessarily her thing. She loves science and nature, but just sitting down reading a book is not her thing. So we're gonna continue in this book series, but I'm gonna have to spend more time with her this year. We're gonna have to do some going outside and learning some things in a more non-traditional way than just reading a book, because that's not how she learns. Lane can read something, and he did biology, and it's a great biology book. It's, like I said, It's on grade level or above, and this is the 9th grade book. The 8th grade book, of course, neither one of them were in 8th grade, but it's physical science. This is the 9th grade one. 10th grade's chemistry, 11th grade's physics, and then I'm not sure what's 12th grade. I think you have some choices. But anyway, Lane can read something, learn it, and he knows it forever. He could tell it to you in 6 years from now exactly what you said and what you were wearing and what we ate that day. But that's just how his mind works. And not everybody's does. Emily's doesn't. Mine doesn't. Okay? These books have 16 modules in them each. So those are like chapters, and I would say you're going to need to allow 2 weeks per module. And then at the end of the module, there is a test. So that's 32 weeks to complete this book. You could fast forward through some of it if you come to the middle of the school year and you think, oh, wow, we're not half done at all. But some of them are shorter than others. But if you allow 2 weeks per chapter, you'll be fine. Again, at the end of each chapter, there's a test. Pretty straightforward. It's a good science curriculum. We'll keep using it. I suggested actually this year, there's a way I'd love for homeschooling to look, and I have never done it that way, but it's in my mind like the perfect homeschool year. We would read tons of good library books. We'd go out in the woods, and instead of reading about, like, say, mushrooms, we would dig up mushrooms and study the mycelium and everything that's under the ground, and we would just have so much fun, and everyone be happy, and it'd just be great. And I suggested that this last year, and they said, just give us the books and we'll do them. It'll be fine. And Lane actually said, I don't really want to go backwards. I feel like I learned things from Apologia that I didn't know before, and I don't really want to just do things that I already know. So that's what they said. Sorry, I got a fly in here. So that's what we'll do, I guess. I may slip in some fun even if they don't want me to. Okay. Last thing is the rest of like language, grammar, and writing. Okay, I've used these books before. These are from Institutes for Excellence in Writing. This one is based on medieval history because that's what we did the year before, and we did not get through this book, so I thought, I'm not selling that book yet. I'm going to keep it. We might use some of it, and we did. We did American history, but we did some writing lessons out of this. You can get in all kinds of Institutes for Excellence in Writing books based on history or just generic. They don't have to have anything to do with history. So these are excellent books. It's a method of teaching your kids to write that is awesome. I remember being in public school, and then even in college, I didn't get a 4-year degree, but I went to college for a couple years, and I was really close to getting an associate's. I took quite a few classes, and I remember thinking, I didn't really know how to write. I could write, and I can write pretty good, and I have that in me, but no one had ever really taught me a method. And when I started looking at this for my kids, I thought, that is what kids need. They need a format of how to do it, and then they can implement that for the rest of their life. So that is what Institutes for Excellence in Writing is. It's a format. So like this has 31 lessons in it. You can do one a week. It's not burdensome. There's not a lot to do every single day. Like at first you just learn to outline, and then you learn to write from notes, and then you learn to write narrative stories and summarizing references, writing from pictures, summarizing multiple resources. At one point, over the course of about 3 weeks, you wind up writing a research paper without it even being very hard because they break it down into baby steps. I will probably get rid of this one because we've been through this, but I will probably implement this strategy in our writing this next year, even though it will be using Knotgrass to write. This is the method we will be using. So I can't say enough good about this. This is an awesome curriculum. Okay, and the last thing, like I told you, this coming year we will be using Knotgrass for our English and for our grammar and our reading. But we have done, since I pulled the kids out, we started with Abeka, and we have done lots of years of formal grammar. We don't take a long time to do it every day, but it's just something I've had a struggle with knowing when to give that up and when they've had enough of it. I will probably still teach them some of that, even with the Knotgrass, but I don't know that we will do like a formal workbook. So this was the 9th grade. All I bought was the workbook and the teacher's answer key. I didn't even buy the test or anything. So Lane just went I told him if he understood something, just fast forward through it. And then when he got to the end of this workbook, there was a master review. It was like 6 or 8 pages long. He did that, and I graded it for a final test, and he made an A on it. So that was how I graded him on this. Again, this is an Abeka book, so it's 170 lessons, but I did not buy the teacher's curriculum, so I didn't have the lesson plans. I just made this up, and he's done this, let's see, I know he did 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So he'd already done 5 years of lots of grammar. So this was year 6. He did fine. I'm not sure we'll do that again because I think we're past that. And then Emily did the same thing. This was just the 7th grade version. Again, it's 170 lessons. I did have the lesson plans for that. And it had quizzes, tests, all that kind of stuff. She did awesome on it. So I feel like we're ready to transition to a little bit different grammar. And we'll probably do that with our books we read and things we write and things like that, instead of just a formal dry workbook. So, but if that's what you're looking for, if your kids have never had grammar and you know they need some of that, like for verbs, subjects, verbs, adjectives, and at the level they're on, it gets pretty advanced, like all kinds of clauses and phrases and diagramming and all that stuff. So if you need that, Abeka's a great one. It's just a workbook style. So I wouldn't say it's actually fun, but it does get the job done. And Abeka's language curriculum always comes with a vocabulary book and spelling. Spelling is something we are still working on. Elaine is a really good speller, and he's been doing it for a long time. I haven't done as much with Emily, so therefore she still has a little spelling to learn, but she's done well also. This is the 7th grade book I just did with both of them, and it's a whole curriculum in itself. There's probably 30 something lists in here. We did not do them all. And I used to, when we first started homeschooling, I was like a drill sergeant, and I just killed them with spelling lists, and we'd write them, and then we'd write them, and then we'd read them and write them again, and it was just too much. So now we'll sit down with the list, and if they already can spell them, they're off the list. If you know them, you're good. We're moving on. And so it's just the ones, we work on the ones we don't know. A lot of what I've transitioned into spelling is when you write something, if you misspell words, you're going to correct them, and we're going to learn to spell those words that you're using and misspelling, instead of just random words that you may not even be using. Now this book does have some good spelling rules to go by, so it's just a cheap little spelling book. Any spelling curriculum is probably going to accomplish the same thing, which is teaching you to spell. So I'm just trying to transition more towards, let's do everything in something we're already doing, like history, science, math. Let's take those core subjects and let's do all the rest of the stuff in with those and be done. So another thing is, we do not school all day, every day. People ask me that all the time. How long does it take you? Well, it can take a long time if they're working really, really slow and they're not motivated and they don't make good use of their time. But that's kind of what I call a natural consequence. Or if we get busy and we start at a decent time, we get up early around here. There's really no sleeping in. It's just, you know how it is on a farm. So if we get started at a decent time and we work hard, we're easily done by lunch. There's a lot of times we're done and then we'll go somewhere and run errands, or we'll go to a homeschool group thing, or just whatever. But as long as we're getting done what we need to, I see no reason that they have to sit here till 3, 4, 5 o'clock. I don't give homework. That's another thing I don't do and I won't do. Why would you homeschool and give homework? I don't understand that. But that's personal choice. I just don't do it. We get our work done, and we do it when we're sitting down to do it right then, and then we're done. And then is when the real work begins. We go outside and we do things with animals. We feed, move sheep, put out hay. I don't know. I can't think of all the things we do, but so they're still learning. Even when the books close and we go outside, they're still learning. So I hope this helped you in some way. If these are some of the curriculums you're looking at, I hope that maybe my review will help you. I hope it was informative. And if you have any questions, leave it in the comments. And I do not want you to think I've got it all figured out, because I change things all the time. Some of these books are books we did for the first time this year because we left behind something else we were doing. And some of these that I'm going to do this next year, I'll show you that on maybe a video here coming up pretty soon. I may only do them 1 year and not do them again. So it's all about being flexible, just like homesteading, just like anything in life. You've got to be willing to say when something doesn't work. And like I told you a little bit about my kids, something that works for somebody's kids doesn't work for everybody. So if you have people in your life that homeschool and you hear them talk about how advanced their kids are, because everybody thinks their kids are advanced, let's be honest. Me included. Mine are probably right on track and I think they're just super smart, but don't let that make you feel like yours aren't as good or you have to do exactly what they're doing, because you don't. You need to do what works for you and your family. And that's kind of I mentioned we're changing math curriculums. We're doing something that I've wanted to do for a while next year, and we're doing something that other people probably might think, why are you switching to that? But I've made peace with, I need to walk my path and let others walk theirs and do what I think is best for my kids that God entrusted to me. And so I encourage you to do the same. Don't get bogged down with comparing yourself to others, because it usually only makes you miserable. So hope this helps someone. I hope you have a great day and God bless.
Hey guys, thanks for watching that video. If you liked it, you might want to check out those videos. And if you want to subscribe, click down there. Thanks for watching.